Hey, what's up guys? This is Church of Caboose and welcome to the first video of the series, So You're New to Destiny, and this one's going to be So You're New to Destiny Armour 101. This comes per request of clanmates of the Vengeful community. They're going to be asking stuff that they're like, hey, I'm kind of confused about this, and they'll vote every week or something of that nature, and I'll do my best to cover at least one of those topics that usually it will be super helpful for everybody, especially newer players, every week. So if you want to see more content like this, click the subscribe button as well as like the video and comment down below. If you want to give your own opinions about what I do next, join the clan. We got Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, or comment what you would like to see in the future, and I'll try to take that into consideration along with clan requests. So we were talking about Armour 101. So first things first is, what do these stat numbers that are right here below your power mean? Well, the first one up is mobility. What that does is the more mobility you have, the faster you can slide and the higher you will jump. If you're a hunter, it gives you more dodge, so it takes less time for your dodge ability to regenerate, and you get more dodges. For resilience, it increases how much damage you can take before you die, and for titans, it gives you more barricades. So if you're a titan, you want to have more resilience. For warlocks, you got recovery, and they get higher rift regeneration rates with higher recovery numbers. Beyond that, discipline gives you more grenades, higher intellect gives you more supers, and higher strength gives you more punch. It's worth noting that a lot of folks will break these down into their 10. So instead of calling something 76 mobility, they'll call it 7, because anything between 71 and 79 doesn't matter. It's just 70 and 80 that would matter. So 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up through 100 are the things that actually make an impact in your regeneration. So that's just kind of what those stats mean. You get these stats based off of armor pieces, and you can masterwork those armor pieces to increase all of those base stats by 2. So what do I mean by base stats? So right here we can see I have on a stat increase for intellect on my helmet, which adds plus 10 to my overall stat. So that means this helmet without that mod is going to be plus 75 for my all my different I guess stats. So if you look at when I don't have masterwork and I don't have a mod on, it says 53. So that is the base stat roll, which is 53. So you can see we have all those plus 12, plus 2, plus 12, plus 10. All those numbers added together equals 53. And so that's where you have those stat rolls. And so if you're watching someone else's video and they're like, yeah, I got the get the god roll of like 70 stats, like that's what they're talking about, is everything combined. Probably base power is a 70 stat, which that would be a really, really good and lucky drop. And you can increase all of these stats inside of these different energy mods. Right here, we got the empty mod socket. This would be where you increase the stat you want. So if you want to make this helmet, say I wanted to give it higher intellect, I would have to first upgrade this puppy to make it where I could slot that energy. Probably want it to 2 or 5, and you can see right there it adds plus 10. This one adds plus 5 to that stat. So then you would add that number to your base stat, and that's your number of stat rolls for that armor piece, but it's not the base because you used a mod. And then every armor piece also has these other mods that we can slot in. If we're on a raid piece of gear, we get a total of 5. We've got our run-of-the-mill mod stat that we can put in there. Then we've got the specific for the type of piece it is. Chest pieces tend to be things for reserves and unflinching aim. And then we've got our empty mod socket that does things like Warmind cells and charge with light mods. And then we've got our raid only sockets. This is where you would put those raid mods for the Deep Stone Crypt. So that way you can have a raid mod, you could do something with charge with light or Warmind cells, as well as these different like ammo reserves, unflinching, and this general mod socket. This is kind of how the mods work. Every piece tends to have stuff of its own that's more tied together. For example, you're not going to find ammo finders on the chest piece, but you'll find unflinching and reserves pretty much exclusively only on chest pieces. You won't find those anywhere else. If we look at helmets, helmets will have the ammo type finders. What the finders do is they make it where it's more likely for you to find that specific type of ammo while you're doing whatever activity. So since I have on grenade launcher ammo finder, as long as I'm running grenade launchers, I'm going to probably find more special and or heavy ammo. And then we got on legs is scavenger. What scavenger does is it makes it when any of those bricks that you find, it'll give you more ammo than if you didn't have the scavenger on. So we see here I've got on grenade launcher scavenger. If I picked up a heavy ammo brick because I'm running anarchy, I would probably get about +5 to +10 ammo found off that brick. If I did not have that finder on, I'd probably only get like 2 to 4. Those are just kind of broadly spoken numbers just based off of my memory of going through and playing with and without stuff. So that's what the finders do. So you really want to have the same finder type for the same scavenger type. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot of a point to doing one or the other. So I usually try to have on, for whatever special and heavy, I try to have on that kind of finder as well as that kind of scavenger, which isn't as hard with the seasonal artifact and what it's got for options. On our gauntlets, we tend to have things like dexterity, reload speed, and these champion mods. So here we can see we got all the different loaders, so you can load whatever weapon type faster, rocket launchers, whatever, what have you. So the pulse rifle does happen to be one of the seasonal mods, so you can load pulse rifles faster for less energy. Then you can also see every armor type will have some energy specific mods. For the most part, most mods are shared by every armor piece, but if you have a void armor piece, you'll have some access to different kinds of charge with light and Warmind cell options, as well as these different kind of, I guess, like ability kinds of things, like solar and arc also have its own dealio. Then we've got dexterity, which is just basically like a mod that's almost like quick draw. It's just faster, ready, and stow for whatever weapon type you slot in there. So if you're into PvP, you probably want to have on dexterity. If you're not in a PvP activity, probably not the most important thing to have on there unless you're just trying to fill out energy slots, which otherwise you just play how you would love to play. For class items, they don't tend to do a whole lot, really. They don't have, unless you masterwork them, they don't do anything to stats. None. Like you can see, they're all 0 other than the masterwork. Masterwork is shown by that little gold kind of bar thing. Otherwise, all they really do is, like, this would give me an easy way to try and slot in a raid mod. You do have some charge with the lights options, so you can take better use of that. And then this is also where our seasonal mods for the overload grenades are, I found out. So you can have infinite stunning grenades as long as you're stunning those overload champions. So it's just kind of a quick rundown of what these armor pieces are like. I just want to briefly try to talk about what kinds of armor you should masterwork. I feel like that was a question that was brought up, something that the clan wanted me to approach, or at least talk about how I go about it, masterworking, when they were asking me to cover armor. So we can kind of go through here. We can see most of the stuff I have masterworked tends to be probably a base of like 60 something. For the most part, not everything. Sometimes I just want to masterwork a full armor set because I'm weird. Or like my necrotic grips, they're not like amazing, but I really like necrotic grips and I wanted to have them masterworked. So let's see here, like right here, like 67. You can see that's locked. Like 67 stat is a really high stat roll, but I have not infused it because look what this highest thing is. It's strength. I personally, especially on Warlock, when I have high intellect and or high recovery. So that's why I haven't infused it to anything. It's just for some reason I can't bring myself to dismantle this because it's a 67. I don't get many pieces that are that high. I did the same thing with an exotic chest piece. It dropped at 68. The stats weren't exactly where I wanted them, but 68 is pretty high. So you guys probably want to be only masterworking stuff. I would say it's like 63 or higher. And you can get those armor pieces out of things like the Master Empire hunts, the raid, 100k Nightfalls, double reward Nightfalls, the Master Lost sectors when you're doing by yourself tend to seem so far to have pretty high stat rolls based off my experience. Legend ones tend to have decent stat rolls of like the lower 60s. Whereas the Master ones so far for me have been like 65 to 70 when things have dropped. So you want to be looking at what kinds of stats do you want to have. Hunter, you probably want to have high mobility in your armor. Titan, you would probably want to have higher resilience. Warlock, you probably want to have higher recovery. And then in general, folks like having high discipline and or high intellect. And if something is slacking, you can put it in a mod. So like if you have an armor piece that dropped and it had high intellect, but you're like, oh dang it, I wanted to have high intellect and high recovery, you could see what it would look like by adding +10 to that recovery number if you were to put on a recovery mod. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea of what I look at. Well, hello baby girl. When I try to masterwork my armor pieces, I really want to have things that are probably 63 stats or higher, and I personally tend to prefer high intellect in general, regardless of the character I'm on, and then otherwise it's things like discipline, and then whatever mod for that character. So for Warlock, recovery, and then I would masterwork it. But you need to have materials to masterwork. So and these materials are not cheap to come by. So you want to also make sure whatever you're trying to masterwork is really worth masterworking, and that you have the ability to actually use it for a while and or in whatever activity you want to use it in. So for example, these 67 stat rolls, if they were better balanced out, I probably wouldn't masterwork this right now because I have nothing to infuse this into. And if I equip it, you can see my power there drops a lot. It goes from like 1255 to 1230. That's a pretty hefty tick. Like that would, if I had 0 artifact enabled and it was Iron Banner or like contest mode on some kind of end game activity, that wouldn't be super useful. So that's why I haven't masterworked it yet. So beyond the fact that the stats aren't fantastic. So you want to make sure you can actually have it be viable in whatever activity you are masterworking it for. And it's probably worth messing around and seeing, do I have other armor pieces that are better? Because you can compare. So like, let's look here. Like for Xbox, it's just hold the right trigger with my setting, but whatever it is, you can compare and see. Like you can look through and be like, okay, so they're both masterworked. Well, this armor piece, the Gloves of the Exile, has a lot higher mobility, but it's got a lot lower intellect. It's got higher discipline, but it's got lower recovery. Like you can go through and be like, all right, what makes the most sense to masterwork? So if I wanted to consider masterworking these non-masterwork gloves, like, all right, cool, look at that, 67. Let's compare it. All right, oh, 52. I don't know. That's a lot lower than what I've got, and it's lower in every area, but intellect's probably not worth masterworking. So hopefully that kind of gives you guys an opinion about how I approach masterworking my different armor pieces. And again, there are times I just masterwork stuff because I really like it. Like I love necrotic grips, so I masterworked it because I didn't want to wait too far and get lucky for an RNG god roll. So speaking of god rolls, that tends to be very specific to the player. There are obviously community god rolls, quote unquote. Those tend to be things with high intellect and whatever character you're on. So Hunter, high mobility and intellect; Titan, high resilience and intellect; Warlock, high recovery and intellect. But I approach it's on what you want. Like I love having intellect. When I did my solo flawless dungeon, I had my build set up so that way I was at 100 intellect. I had a high nade discipline account because of the divine protection grenade, and then I tried my best to have high recovery, and so I used my mods to balance stuff out. But someone else might love to have, I don't know, really high resilience and really high strength on a warlock. Like you never know. So it's just whatever is up to you and what you're like, yeah, this fits exactly what I want. And if you get that, awesome. Masterwork the crap out of it. Now to masterwork, you're going to need some materials. You're going to need to have ascendant shards, enhancement prisms, and these enhancement cores. So you can get all these from places like the Spider and Banshee 44 in the tower. They are rather expensive to buy those, so the best way is to farm the crap out of those double reward nightfalls, because you can keep like 50 of these enhancement prisms in each character's postmaster. You just then afterwards have to kind of be careful to not overfill your postmaster and then lose them, and I believe you can carry extra ascendant shards in your postmaster as well. So if you're like, yes, I want to have a bunch of stuff, I want to masterwork, could be worth saving it until that week of double nightfall rewards, because it's rather easy to get those back, because all you have to do is do master nightfalls and bing, you get all those materials rather quickly without taking a ton of time or effort. I usually try to run like 10 to 20 master nightfalls during one of those double rewards weeks, as long as I'm high enough. So I didn't do it for the last one, but this next one, whenever it comes up, I'll be working hard to restock my upgrade resources. And you can also get more of these cores by using these finer matter weaves. These are things you use it and you'll randomly in a legendary drop get a Masterwork, or excuse me, enhancement core, and then you just come back to your inventory, use another one to do that over and over. Easy way to boost yourself up. So in a way, I have close to 300 enhancement cores. It's just 165 of them are undiscovered yet. So that's one way to kind of boost your resources up a little bit when it comes to masterworking. So that is Armour 101. If there's anything you guys feel like I missed out on, feel free to comment down below and I'll try to answer those questions and comment. Or better yet, join the clan. I've been noticing on Reddit, lots and lots of folks are feeling like they're getting shut out by clans for a variety of reasons. And our clan group, we really don't care. Like if you're like, well, I've been shut out because of my sexual orientation, we don't care. Like, we don't tolerate any kind of discrimination like that. If you're like, I'm brand new, clans won't take me, we don't care about that. If you're like, I suck, we don't care. We just want folks that enjoy the game at least enough to try to have fun with each other when we play. I'm not amazing at that myself. I maybe sometimes take this too seriously, but it's a great group. There's lots of folks that have been getting help with the raid. We have Sherpa roles. We've got probably close to 30 to 40 people at least this past week alone that got their first clear by folks that were helping each other out. And we're like, hey, I've beaten this before. I'll run this like the 10th time this week and teach it to you. I've done like 9 or 10 Sherpas, I think, for this raid myself, trying to help people. So if you're needing help, just want to learn more about the game, just want to have fun, and want a place where people don't care, like, not like we don't care as in like we don't care about you, but it's like, you don't, like, if you're someone that's in that LGBTQ community, like, we don't care. Like, there's zero discrimination. Like, you're welcome. Everyone should drop on in, and so check us out for that. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment below. That's the free way to support the channel, and other ways to support the channel are listed down below. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more So You're New to Destiny videos. I'm thinking the next one might be So You're New to Destiny, what should you do first every week? Something like that. I don't know. We'll see. So, I'm Church of Caboose. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.